When a man gets hungry enough, even the army looks like salvation. There once was a poor boy, skin and bone, who told his weary father, "Don't you worry about me, Papa. I'll go feed myself." And off he went, marching into somebody else's war, told it was for the fatherland. Ain't that a laugh? They never call it motherland when they're feeding sons to the fire. That boy fought with nothing but air in his belly and a lie in his ears. But when the other men fell, he stood tall and gave one of them speeches folks clap for, about honor, duty, and dying for a flag that don't know your name. The king liked that kind of talk, gave him gold, medals, and, Lord help him, his daughter's hand. Now that princess was as beautiful as a glass snake in moonlight, smooth, dazzling, and dangerous if you touched her wrong. She told her father she'd only marry a man who'd promised to die with her if she went first. The boy agreed before thinking. Men'll promise anything to pretty women with rich daddies. So the wedding bells rang, and the kingdom called it a fairy tale. But fairy tales rot just like real fruit. One season, she caught a fever that no doctor could name. Her lips went blue, her hands went cold, and before the moon turned twice, she was dead. The boy, true to his fool's word, was buried right along with her. 4 loaves of bread, 4 bottles of wine, 4 flickering lights. Just enough to remind him that dying slow ain't the same as dying brave. He sat there in the dark tomb, waiting for hunger or grief to end him, when he heard a soft hiss sliding across the stone. A snake came, searching for warmth or meat. He lifted his dagger and split it into 3 neat pieces, but then another serpent slithered in, saw its mate torn apart, and disappeared back through the crack. When it returned, it carried 3 small green leaves. One by one it laid them across the broken body, and wouldn't you know, it knit itself whole again. The boy stared in holy fear and sudden wonder. "If a serpent can find new life," he whispered, "maybe so can I." Hands trembling, he took the same 3 leaves and pressed them to his wife's cold heart, her pale lips, and her empty eyes. Breath rushed back into her chest like a storm tide. She gasped, blinked, and looked at him the way you look at a dream you're not sure you wanted to wake from. They beat on that crypt door till the guards came running. The king wept when he saw them alive. He kissed his daughter's hands and called it a miracle. "My son-in-law," he said, "you've conquered both death and despair. Name your reward." But the boy only asked that his loyal servant be honored, for it was that man who had stood watch through all the long nights of war. The king nodded, pleased by humility he did not understand. Time passed, and the boy grew restless. "I want to see my father again," he told his wife. "He should know I'm alive and blessed." The king agreed and sent them with a ship and crew, and the boy's faithful servant beside him. Out on the open sea, the princess began to change. The kindness in her eyes turned glassy, the way jewels look beautiful and dead all at once. The sea captain noticed her loneliness, whispered pretty things about freedom and adventure. She smiled the smile of a woman who died once and decided rules were for the living. Late one night, as the waves rose silver in the moonlight, she took the captain's hand and pointed toward her sleeping husband. "He's too soft for me," she murmured. "Throw him to the sea. Let the tide take him. Then I'll be yours." They pushed him overboard like a forgotten promise. The waves closed around him, cold, silent, endless. But loyalty don't drown easy. His servant, who had seen it all from the shadows, dove in after him, dragging him back to life a second time. They floated ashore half dead, clutching each other in the 3 snake leaves pressed tight in a leather pouch. They stayed quiet, gathering strength, and when the bruises on the boy's heart had turned to iron, he said, "We'll go home, but not as beggars. will go back as truth. When they reached the palace, the king rejoiced to see them, or thought he did. The boy bowed and whispered, "Let me and my servant hide behind the great curtain. Let us listen before you call your daughter." The king, puzzled but obedient, agreed. Soon the princess arrived with her new sea captain dressed in silk and sin. She told her father a tale so pretty it almost sounded true, how her husband had fallen ill and died at sea, how this noble captain had saved her from grief. The king's face stayed stone, but his heart churned. Then the curtain parted. There stood the boy, alive, dripping quiet justice from every pore. The court gasped. The princess fell to her knees, words tumbling like broken glass. The sea captain tried to run, but the guards caught him quick. The king's voice trembled like thunder held too long. "My daughter may have been born royal," he said, "but she dies common." The captain was sent to the gallows. The princess was sealed in her own ship and set adrift with nothing but the same 4 loaves, 4 bottles, and 4 flickering lights that once kept her husband company. Some say the waves took her kindly. Others say the sea still carries her cries from shore to shore. As for the boy, he lived out his days in quiet strength. Never again did he fight for a fatherland that didn't feed him, nor love a woman who could not see loyalty for gold. He built a small house near the water, tended his garden, and every spring he placed 3 fresh leaves in the soil to honor the lesson that saved him twice. Life gives back what you give to it: faith, betrayal, or mercy.